Hey everybody, John and Lance from The Bench. Mornings on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Hit subscribe if you haven't yet so you get all our content here at SportsMap HOU. Last week, Lance, SI published a report, updated timeline of events on the Deshaun Watson story. According to the text messages from the first accuser, she was in contact with Tony Busby in December. That was before Deshaun requested the trade in January. So how much does this change the optics of the trade request by Deshaun? I know it changed. I'll tell you what it changes for me with the Texans, that they're not dumb and devious, okay? Because a lot of people thought, hey, the Texans were behind this thing. They're trying to make Deshaun look bad after his trade request. We're going to poison the water on Deshaun. Nobody's going to want him. He's going to say all of that stupid stuff that was said. And oh, by the way, a lot of even people in the NFL were like, ooh, man, this Easterby guy, boy, he certainly can be brutal, right? So for me, that changes the whole look that first of all, they're not stupid. And secondly, they're not that devious or evil.
Well, I think from a timeline standpoint, there's only so much we know. I think that it is completely viable that Deshaun Watson. Now, it does look strange to people that Deshaun Watson asks for this extension. The Texans literally give him everything he wants. I mean, everything he wants, from the term, which is just 4 years, where he's got the no trade clause in there. They give him a huge amount of money, a great signing bonus. Everything was in Deshaun's favor, and then he says he wants to go. It always looks strange, but we never question it because they were terrible. They were run pathetically. To this day, they haven't proven any differently. They still don't look like they're run very well. But it does, at least it pushes the timeline back further in terms of awareness of situation. Because the other question that's come up, John, is did the Texans know about this in advance? Like, how much did the Texans know, and when did they know, and were they told? And I think there's still a lot of questions to be answered. I think this timeline, all it does is simply, for me, raise more questions about who knew what, when, and what was Deshaun Watson? Did that play into his desire to try to get out of the city at all? And, I don't know. It just further muddies a pretty muddy picture.
Well, maybe to get out of the city, I mean, maybe it was on top of it. I'm fully convinced that Deshaun just looked at the Texans and said, you're too incompetent with the whole Bill O'Brien thing and everything that he did, and then the way that you've gone about hiring Nick Caserio. Remember, it was immediately after Caserio was hired that Deshaun demanded his trade. So I just that whole process, I'm talking to Cal. We don't interview Bieniemy, and we hire Nick Caserio. And I put out there, the more things change, ... Nothing has changed. I can't trust these people with my career. So I don't think the Texans knew, and I don't think that this had much to do with other than it might be convenient to get out of this city with all this stuff happening. Now, we now know at least 10 accusers have met with HPD. Will Deshaun Watson need to be charged with a crime before the NFL potentially takes action against Deshaun?
Yes, or not be charged. I think that's one of the things. I think the league wants to see, because there are precedents of other situations where they have stepped in, and there were charges against Ezekiel Elliott, but they ended up being dropped. I think the NFL probably, and this is just a guess on my part, but wouldn't you want to wait to see how serious this becomes before you start meting out punishment? Now, we know Ray Rice initially had a 2-game punishment that changed drastically after the video came out. So it's not like the NFL can't adjust their punishments. They certainly can. But I think the NFL wants all the fact-finding to take place, because they are going to fact-find on top of the fact-finding as well. So if this many accusers have met with the police, I would think that they want all the information to come out first before they're able to do anything.
Well, absolutely, but here's the deal. Here's how everything can change. Deshaun reports to camp. The NFL is going to have to step in and say, we're putting you on the exempt list. Because now that's not a suspension, it's an exempt list. You need to stay away until all of these problems are sorted out, which could be quite a while. So the NFL, because Deshaun walking into camp will be just a total distraction for the league.
Total zoo.
It'll be too much for the NFL to handle with Deshaun every day of practice with all this stuff.
And I don't think the Texans don't want that either. So
no, but
does it benefit Deshaun to push them to to
Yes,
that level?
because if Deshaun just doesn't show up, now he's going to be fined. He's losing money as opposed to collecting his money on the exempt list.
Well, the Texans can choose to. They don't have to fine him.
They will fine him if he doesn't show up. If he's under contract and he doesn't show up, the Texans will absolutely have to fine him.
There's no way the Texans want him there, though, right?
No, they don't. But you know what? The exempt list is the best way. The exempt list is probably the best case scenario until this is all done. And by the way, he's not going to be deposed until February 22nd. This case is not going. There's a good chance this case isn't settled by then. In the meantime, there's a good chance Deshaun doesn't play football this year.
He's not showing up.
He just might have to, just so he doesn't get fined He's going to be fined every day he's not there.
And John,
so why would he lose all that money as opposed to being on the exempt list where he collects the money?
And John, what do you call that when you have that level of intense stuff going on? In the NBA, what would you call it? It's a D word. Drama.
Well, if this hasn't been the most dramatic offseason ever for a star quarterback in the NFL.
I just wanted to hear you say drama. I don't care about all your other words.
Drama.